Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so have you ever actually stopped to think about how we went from staring at clunky, spinning mechanical discs to, gazing at the razor-thin glowing smart screens hanging in our living rooms today? Today, we are completely unpacking the whole 130-year story of the evolution of television. It's a fascinating narrative of incredible technological leaps, fierce corporate rivalries, and a constant, never-ending cycle of problem and solution. So let's get right into it.
Here is a quick roadmap of our journey. We'll start with the leap from mechanical to electronic, navigate the color TV wars, explore the flat panel revolution, look at the digital broadcast shift, and finally, dive into next-gen TV and beyond.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, From Mechanical to Electronic, the quest for speed.
To really understand this quest, we get to jump all the way back to 1884 and look at the very first technological hurdle pioneers faced, which was literally just figuring out how to capture, transmit, and recreate a moving image. A German engineer named Paul Nipkow invented the world's first mechanical TV system using this rotating scanning device called the Nipkow disc. It had little holes in a spiral pattern to let light through. Ingenious, sure, but it had a massive physical limitation. Amazingly, it took a high school teenager, a farm boy, and absolute technical prodigy named Philo Farnsworth to realize in 1922 that only a fully electronic system could actually work for mass broadcast. See, a spinning disc was simply way too slow to scan and assemble images multiple times a second. You're dealing with the laws of physics here. Physical parts and mirrors have inertia. They can only spin so fast. Farnsworth's crucial realization was that replacing those physical parts with a lightning-fast electronic scanning beam could assemble images rapidly enough to project smooth, lifelike movement. It completely paved the way for the electronic video projection we still rely on today.
Moving right along to Section 2, the color television wars. Compatibility is king. By the 1950s, the electronic black and white television was a total staple in the American home. But of course, monochrome wasn't enough. The push for color sparked a massive format war. In 1950, the FCC actually approved a system developed by CBS. Their approach used a physical, rapidly spinning color wheel. It looked great, but imagine the frustration. If you tuned into a CBS color broadcast on your old black and white TV, you just got a screen full of static. It was completely incompatible. Then enter RCA's NTSC system, a fully electronic approach that was perfectly backward compatible. You could watch a color broadcast in shades of gray on your old TV or in full color on a new one. Because it didn't break everyone's existing equipment, the FCC reversed course, and the NTSC system won out in 1953.
But RCA winning the standard war didn't mean instant success, not at all. When their first commercial color TVs launched in 1954, they cost $1,000. Adjusted for inflation, you'd be paying about $10,000 today just to watch TV. Naturally, that astronomical price tag severely delayed mass adoption for over a decade. Because of that crazy cost, by 1960, a tiny 0.1% of U.S. households actually had a color set. It wasn't until manufacturing costs finally dropped and networks made a really hard push, like NBC deciding to broadcast 90% of its primetime shows in color by 1965, that the market finally tipped. People really wanted to see the vibrant hues of shows like Star Trek in full color. By 1972, color sets finally outsold black and white, and by 1975, they were sitting in over half of all American households.
Which brings us to Section 3, the flat panel revolution, escaping the vacuum tube.
As we moved into the late 20th century, the television industry faced a massive physics problem. For decades, the entire industry relied on the cathode ray tube, or CRT. Basically, it was a bulky, heavy glass vacuum tube shooting an electron beam at a phosphorescent screen. To get a bigger picture, you needed a deeper, heavier glass box that weighed an absolute ton. We had hit a wall.
Engineers literally had to invent their way out of the vacuum tube, which led to modern flat panels. First came plasma, using microscopic charged gas cells, essentially millions of tiny fluorescent lamps. Then LCDs brought us liquid crystals lit by bright backlights, which eventually evolved into highly efficient LED technology. And today, we have OLED displays, where every single individual pixel generates its own light and color. This hardware revolution completely changed the physical footprint of the television, allowing screens to grow absolutely massive, yet become beautifully impossibly thin.
All right, shifting gears to Section 4, the digital broadcasting shift, cutting the analog cord.
We've talked a lot about the screens, but what about the signal actually reaching them? The way content is distributed has undergone an equally wild evolution.
We went from adjusting terrestrial VHF and UHF antennas on our roofs, trying to get the perfect angle with those classic rabbit ears, to the rapid expansion of cable in the 70s, to satellite dishes beaming digital feeds directly to our homes. But the biggest terrestrial shift hit in 2009 when the US completely cut the cord on analog television broadcasts, switching entirely over to a digital ATSC standard.
This transition was revolutionary. Killing that old analog signal wasn't just about forcing an equipment upgrade, it freed up a massive amount of radio bandwidth. This digital efficiency is exactly what directly enabled the consistent high-definition television feeds that are absolutely standard today. And finally, Section 5, Next-Gen TV and Beyond, the ATSC 3.0 era.
Believe it or not, we are currently right in the middle of another massive transition. One where the traditional over-the-air broadcasting we've known for a century converges completely with the broadband internet. Enter ATSC 3.0, also known as Next-Gen TV. It's a fully IP-based or Internet Protocol-based broadcasting standard. In simple terms, it bridges the gap between traditional video workflows and modern broadband delivery. So now your television signal speaks the exact same digital language as your computer and your smartphone.
The capabilities this brings are just staggering. Thanks to advanced new ways of packing digital signals, broadcasters can now send gorgeous 4K video right over the air. It supports immersive 3D audio, hyper-local geo-targeted emergency alerts, and incredibly, it can even act as a terrestrial backup in case the global GPS network ever fails. I mean, it's not just TV anymore, it's robust data casting.
And here is why this really matters to you. Because it's an IP-native framework, it is completely modular and software updatable. Yes, you need a modern TV with a next-gen tuner built in, but your television is no longer just a passive, dumb monitor. It is essentially a smart, scalable computer node that can evolve through software updates long after you've bought it, just like the phone in your pocket.
But this incredible connectivity is definitely a double-edged sword. The television has evolved to watch us too. Today's smart TVs utilize a technology called automatic content recognition, or ACR. This feature actively tracks your viewing habits, your inputs, and your streaming behaviors to build personalized profiles, largely to serve you targeted advertising. The television just isn't a one-way street anymore, it is a full two-way data exchange.
Which leaves us with this pretty wild final thought. We have gone from Paul Nipkow's clunky mechanical spinning discs to Philo Farnsworth's brilliant electronic beams, fought through intense color format wars, ditched those incredibly heavy CRTs for paper-thin OLEDs, and now we're fully in the IP-native era of ATSC 3.0. As broadcast blends seamlessly with broadband and our glowing rectangles become hyper-intelligent data hubs, we really have to ask, how much further will this 130-year-old medium evolve, and what will the television of tomorrow truly look like? It's definitely something fascinating to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.